Hi, everybody. Thank you for the invitation, Marty. It's wonderful to be with you. And it's so great to be with everybody else out there around the world on this Saturday afternoon. Marty's just said everything I was going to say, so I can sit back and listen to him again.
I'm sorry.
You know, we talk about workforce, we talk about women and men and equality and that sort of thing, and the gender gap in that respect and how it's changed and shifted over the last few years and decades. If we're going to talk about it just for one moment and then we're going to take all those barriers away, women still only earn about 75% as a top salary to what the men earn in the same position. So women in different countries around the world for different positions have had to fight quite a lot to get parity with being accepted and salaries and education in some places as well. So we're very, very fortunate, and I think we have to count this amongst our blessings. When we go through what we have and we're saying thank you and we do our gratitude checks and lists, the fact that we live in countries where we are accepted, where we do have freedom of speech, where women are considered equal to a greater or lesser degree in families and in the system, certainly in North America and from many countries in Europe as well. There are places around the world and different countries and even areas within countries that are quite advanced in their thoughts and their governing. There are pockets within those countries where women still are very, very much the bottom of the list of what is allowed, even to the point where animals are valued more than some women in some countries. So now that we've done this and we've said this and we honor and respect where women are in the world, now we can turn to OnPassive and say thank you yet again, because OnPassive has actually been created from the very, very start without having an identity. And that's not because we're not important, it's to make it equal in the truest sense, to have the parity, the equal side of it, of if somebody wants to join and come into OnPassive, but they might not like my voice, or they might not like my face, or they might not like so they might not like the fact that I live in Canada. They have the opportunity, or they wouldn't join OnPassive, and therefore they would lose out. This way, they can go and choose to join and come into OnPassive through anybody. There's no defining, there's no way of knowing who they've come into and come in with. So really, truly, that's putting us all on equal footing and leveling out the playing field in all of this. And I think that's a very, very important thing to know and remember when we're talking about OnPassive. Marty also touched on, if I may, Marty, and please cut in or interrupt or tell me to stop at any time. But you also alluded to so many people, men and women, have been marginalized in society. They've been judged, they've been prejudiced against, they've been discriminated against because of an illness, a condition, the way they look, the way they sound. And even though we have got human rights, even though we have got rules and regulations and legal guidelines for hirings and firings within companies, as Marty said, if the interviewer doesn't like the way you are, behave, or act, they can turn around and say the position's been full, or you don't have quite enough experience, or we will contact you if a suitable position opens up. Again, let's put this in the spotlight with On Passive. On Passive welcomes everybody, whether you have visible or invisible disabilities, whether you are educated with a master's and at the top of your field, or whether you are somebody who's never been to school and who actually has to ask somebody else to say it and read it for you so that you can learn what's going on. And we do have people in On Passive who are illiterate by their own ambition, by the standards that the world has set. But we've got founders, we've got affiliates in On Passive in all these different areas, and that is so wonderful. PTSD, depression, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, MS, COPD, Parkinson's, epilepsy, even just simple aging. These are conditions that usually give a prejudice or a discrimination against. And it's even worse when you don't see the disability. People with disabilities truly have been able to come forward in leaps and bounds in society in many ways. Yes, there's still a whole part of the world that needs to adjust and work with them and to help them further. But there are so many advocates for people with disabilities, starting with their own families who are there for them and make sure that they get the best of what they can. The wheelchairs that are available, the speaking, the voice, all these wonderful, wonderful things that have come up for people like that. And I've been an advocate for people with invisible disabilities since the accident in 2004, because I live with invisible disabilities and visible disabilities. So I have PTSD, I have chronic pain, I have fibromyalgia, I have days when I cannot do anything at all. I have days when the depression is very, very intense. And the one thing that has really helped, and this is where I come from when I say the journey now, because many of you who have heard me over the many months knew that I could not use the word journey. I have actually been helped by On Passive and by the patience and kindness of all of you and so many others who may or may not hear this recording, in allowing me to speak, allowing me to put my thoughts together again after the injuries that I sustained and the traumas of mental, physical, spoken in my life from that accident. So I'm not dwelling on that part of it, but I want to be here as an advocate so that people who hear this, who know people who have got invisible disabilities or conditions that make them feel very self-conscious and make them feel as if they cannot do anything, because quite frankly, we are made to feel less than. It's not always deliberate, but sometimes it's the terminology of a doctor, or it's the way we've had to have an interview, or we've done our very, very best, and we are made to feel less than. I have not encountered that in On Passive. And I'm one of many who have got invisible disabilities, as I've been finding out as I talk about this and as I bring this forward. So I'm grateful to all of you, and I'm grateful to Ash again, as so many of us are, because of his vision in creating this. It might take me a little bit longer to put something together, or to post something, or to create a reel or a story or a video, but I get it done, and I can do it on my time without judgment, without criticism. and quite frankly, with the assistance of some very, very kind people to help me complete it. And so I know that if you've got someone in your life that wants to do something but doesn't know what, or has been searching for something, please truly let them hear maybe the recording of this, because we're hoping to address a lot of this to make people feel safe and to know that they can come to On Passive without all of these horrible barriers and criticisms that they've encountered elsewhere. And hopefully, even if they don't go beyond just joining and seeing what an amazing group of people are in On Passive and are joining continuously now as customers and affiliates, and as this ripple effect goes out into the world, we are making a difference, and the difference is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger in such a positive way. Thank you, Marty.